Medigroup Physician Services presents Medigroup's Frank's Fast Five with Healthcare Executives, produced by Bridget Wilson and Carrie Peters. Today's guest is Jane Friddell, Manager Group Purchasing Organizations and Associations for Pitney Bowes. Now here's your host, Medigroup's Frank Gillespie.
Hello and welcome once again to another edition of Medigroup's Frank's Fast Five with Healthcare Executives. Today, I have the pleasure of chatting with Jane Friddell, Manager, Group Purchasing Organizations and Associations for Pitney Bowes. Jane, welcome.
Thank you, Frank. I'm so glad to be here with you today.
Well, we are honored that you're taking the time to do this. We really appreciate it, and you're a very informative lady because I've heard presentations from you before, so this is going to be great. Thank you so much. I promise you we wouldn't waste your time. We'll jump right into the questions. So, Jane, how long have you been in this role for Pitney Bowes?
Well, I've been at Pitney Bowes for 32 years, I'm very proud of that. It makes me a little bit older, but it also means that I'm with a really good company. I've been doing this particular role for about 10 years, which I have enjoyed immensely.
Fantastic. We all know there's a lot of nuances in working with GPOs and associations. So I always find it, I'm learning something new every day. And I'm like you, I've been doing this for a little over 30 years, but I'm still learning. So that's what keeps it interesting. So Jane, as Manager, Group Purchasing Organizations and Associations with Pitney Bowes, what do you specifically do for Pitney Bowes and its customers?
Well, what I do is I have the best job in the company because I am bringing value to the GPO by trying to bring more business and members their way. I'm bringing value to Pitney Bowes because we're able to not only retain but grow our client base, but most importantly, I'm bringing value to the members of the GPO. So the hard part is over. That's the negotiations of the actual contract that we have. There's way too many lawyers involved with that detail for me to be happy while it's going on, but I'm very joyful when we're finished. I work with some wonderful people to what I think negotiate is a wonderful contract for the members. Then my next job after that is, of course, to identify all of the members of your GPO, of Medigroup that are Pitney Bowes clients to make sure that they are getting all of the discounts that they are eligible for. I also work with all of our sales channels. Pitney Bowes has inside sales. They have field sales reps. We also have dealer partners. I work with all of them to make sure that they are following the rules of the road and that they're doing what they need to do for our valued customers from Medigroup. And then I'm also working with folks like you, Frank, which is really my favorite thing to do is to get our story out through your representatives, because it's like I have a whole nother part of the sales team that I enjoy to work with.
Well, it's absolutely an honor to work with you, and your thoroughness is just unsurpassed. Really and truly, I mean that in terms of the follow-up and your knowledge and all of the things that you mean for the customer. So thank you very much for that. And it's nice to be in the same industry for a long time and have some of that continuity. I love it. Okay, changing the direction of the conversation just a bit, but definitely still relevant, unfortunately. How has Pitney Bowes addressed its customer needs to address the pandemic over the past year?
Well, the first thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to listen to them. In some aspects, we all are having to adjust the same way, which includes working remotely, different things like that. So Pitney Bowes had actually developed back in 2017 and 2018 a solution for remote workers, not knowing that all this was going to come along. It really, we had the foresight to see that this could be the future. And I think it is going to be the future. I don't think people will be going back to offices like they did in the past. So we are a PC-based online solution for mailing and shipping, where you subscribe to X number of users, no matter where you are. You could be, traveling with your family. You could be sitting in your home office. You could be at your office at work. And if you need to send something, you can rate shop for UPS, USPS, FedEx. We can download all of your contracted rates into the program. You can then determine upon your delivery objective what's your best option. It prints out the label, it arranges for the pickup, and on its way it goes. So we've been able to work with that. We had some activity with that before the pandemic. Since the pandemic, especially our enterprise solution has just been off the charts with how active we've been with that.
Doesn't surprise me at all that you folks would be that active with it. And it's funny to me too, how somewhat resistant the industry was for working from home for years. And when you had all the technology, but no, you need to be at your desk 8 to 5.
Right.
And now fast forward to what we've just been through and how well seemingly, and I think it does, working from home seems to make sense. So
Yes.
It's funny how things transition, that's for sure. Well, Jane, question number 4. Pitney Bowes is obviously known as a premier supplier of postage meters and mailing equipment. But what are some of the other products and services specifically offered by Pitney Bowes for your healthcare customers?
Well, thankfully there are. When a lot of people think of Pitney Bowes, they think of Mr. Pitney and Mr. Bowes, which is an advertisement from about, I don't know, a way long time ago. And obviously first class mail is decreasing, but in its place are things like shipping, which I've already talked about, remote workers. We do a lot of work share solutions where we can help mitigate the cost of the rising postage by helping with pre-sort, by actually doing the mailings for you. And one of the most exciting solutions that we're introducing now are our contact-free locker solutions. So when you think about if you need to, let's just go into a non-acute place where your workers come in and they need their uniform for the day. Maybe they go to a storeroom or a warehouse to pick things up. Instead, they can receive a message on their phone with a QR code. They go up to the locker, scan it, their locker, whichever one's assigned to them for that day, pops open, and there's their uniform right there. We can, originally we were doing this with packages. We were in a lot of, hotels or homeowner associations or places like that with packages, but now there's so many other opportunities. Some people are using it for IT. Some people are using it for parts delivery for their service department. But what this means is, 1, it is contact free, but 2, you're not having to have the labor to man an actual warehouse or storeroom where somebody has to come to get it, or, you're taking it out to be delivered and you don't know where it is. So you're cutting down on all the opportunities for something to go wrong, which is great. So we've seen a lot of activity in that too. So I'm very pleased to be part of a company that is, not just resting on their laurels, because you can't do that and survive. So we're always looking at the way that things are changing. And we have some wonderful people on my team that I work with that keep me up to date on what the opportunities are out there.
Well, very, very truly innovative. Thank you for that. Okay, we've gotten to the last question, Jane, and I understand you are a big baseball fan. How long have you been a baseball fan, and who is your favorite team?
Well, let's just see about that. So
that's excellent.
So to that point, I know at this point, everybody feels very sorry for me as an Orioles fan because we have had a little bit of a rough go now. But I grew up in Baltimore. I currently moved back to Baltimore. And I moved back, I had one requirement, and that's what I was within walking distance to Camden Yards. I can walk to a ball game whenever I want. My first game, now I'm going to tell you how old I am. I was 6 years old in 1966, and my dad took me to see the Orioles play the White Sox. We won 1-0. I have my program from them. At that point, my dad started to teach me how to fill in the program manually, which I still do when I go to the ballpark. But my favorite memory was in 1970, going to see the Orioles beat the Cincinnati Reds, and it was in the World Series. And Dad took me to the second row from the top. I did not move, and I watched there on third base side, Brooks Robinson suck up all those balls like a vacuum cleaner there on the third base line. But it's been a special relationship with me with baseball. Whenever I travel, I like to go to parks. Like I said, the one in St. Louis is my second all-time favorite park. I have a few left on my bucket list. I kind of got waylaid in being able to get to those. I was fortunate enough to have one of my 2 sons enjoy playing some baseball. I was not happy working in the snack bar. They had to put me in the dugouts. So it's
hands-on mom. I love it.
I know. And one real fast story, I was at the beach the other day and there was a guy sitting next to me that had a book called The Rules of Baseball.
Mhm.
Everybody in my group were like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine such a boring book. So I immediately got my towel up, went next to the guy, and he explained to me, as we all know, baseball has some really odd rules in it, such as the managers wear the uniform. Can you imagine if the managers wore the uniform on a football team?
Yeah,
Or
no.
even worse, a swim team? But anyway, so the guy said that he was reviewing the rules of baseball, all the odd ones, and then they had an example of when it came into play from the history of baseball. And it just seemed like a really interesting book to read. And, we talked for about a half an hour and my party just left me. So anyway, thank you for asking me about that.
Of course, absolutely. I learned that from you, and I appreciate knowing that. So thank you for
And go
sharing.
Orioles. We're rebuilding again.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. There's always next year, and
Yes.
definitely a great passion for something other than Pitney Bowes, even though that's primarily important. But to have
Yes, it
other
is.
passions outside of work is very important too. So,
Yes, it is.
Jane, thank you so much. This has been fun, and you're a great lady, and I hope you have a wonderful upcoming weekend. And I really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And this may be dating where this might be broadcast, but fingers crossed. I'll be in Vegas in November at the conference. If anybody is going to be attending the conference, please feel free to come by and check me out or send me an email, because I think we can send an appointment up ahead of time and we can talk baseball.
Well, definitely will, and I'll definitely be by. So again, thank you so much. You were a lot of fun, and I appreciate it. Thanks, Jane.
Thank you, Frank. Everybody have a
welcome.
good weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
This has been MediGroup's Frank's Fast Five with Healthcare Executives, produced by Bridget Wilson and Carrie Peters, and hosted by Frank Gillespie. Special thanks to Jane Friddell, Manager Group Purchasing Organizations and Associations for Pitney Bowes. This has been a presentation of MediGroup Physician Services.